All right. Hey, Christian, it's been quite a week, huh? This whole BMAD thing is a little bit crazy. And
Yeah,
what was your impression
yeah.
of it?
I jumped right in and immediately, it's like, have you seen those videos of somebody jumping into a lake and it turns out that it's frozen on
Is
top?
that what it felt like?
It did. Yeah, I did. I was all excited and it looked amazing. And then, it's one of those things that the context of somebody like, is it Brian Madison? Is that his name?
Brian, I think it's Madsen. I thought it was Madison, but I think it's
Okay.
Madsen. It's the guy's name.
Yeah, so the creator of that, jumped right into, I think it's like three or four hopscotches ahead in terms of my capability. And so it was super enticing because it's very technical but accessible,
Yeah.
but I couldn't even figure out, was he in terminal, which again, that's foreign.
Right.
I've used it a couple times on my desktop, but I wasn't sure exactly. Like I couldn't onboard myself because he didn't have enough context in terms of how to even get to where he was. He was talking about Claude Code, which I think of as when I'm in the Claude app, there's that little code tab, but it seemed like he was talking about it in a different way.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, let me just kind of answer the question on Claude Code, and then I think let's go into kind of what this whole thing is.
Yeah.
Because people that are joining us now, unless they came in on the keyword BMAD or saw that they were looking for stuff directly about BMAD, I think it's important to explain what it is. But Claude Code is actually a CLI tool, so command line interface coding tool that is an agentic tool used by developers, meaning it's orchestrating other CLI or sorry, other LLMs. And it's not other LLMs, it's orchestrating LLMs so that developers can actually write the code more quickly. And then they can also do a lot of stuff that is just not available without agents. And so we'll probably want to talk a little bit about agents, but I got really excited this week. In fact, it's been like I feel like I've done 2 months of work in this one week, and I'm,
Wow.
and part of that is thanks to BMAD. In fact, we are going to incorporate this into our services at Rosoyo in a very big way after we have a little more opportunity to validate what's going on. But
Okay.
what is BMAD? So Brian Madsen, who is the author or the writer of BMAD, created this tool, which is an agentic tool for software development, but he spread it out or he expanded the scope so it's not just writing code like Claude Code lets you use agents to write code. He brought it out all the way into the entire what they would call the SDLC, the software development lifecycle.
Hmm.
So from ideation all the way to implementation.
Yeah.
And it's a very the framework that he's created plays off of what I would consider like a standard SDLC model, but it also creates some things that are very, very unique for the software development industry, meaning for the way that developers work. And it incorporates agile development. So if I look down, it starts with like ideation, like what I would call the pre-planning process. And we have, yeah, I think have you seen like our prototype to production videos? They kind of walk you through pre-planning,
Yeah.
planning, et cetera, architecture. So
Right.
it goes down that path. So it starts there. It includes UX design. So once you plan out like your product development or your product requirements document, it takes you through the process and it takes you through the architecture process. It takes you through the UI process. If you
Hmm.
install the entire thing, it also has like creative writing for web pages and design all kinds of tools that you can use that are not what you would normally consider coding, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, that's.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
And then
Well, that's what
it creates a
there's a slight
plan.
delay.
it creates a plan, and then from that
Okay.
plan, it creates things you might be familiar with, epics and stories.
Right.
Right. So
User stories. Yeah. Yeah.
right, which are grouped into epics.
Yeah.
And then it creates a developer story based on those user stories. And then it actually writes the code that you're going to do. It does it with a lot of guardrails. It does its own code review so that it checks to see if the code, and it even does the testing phase. And
Incredible.
yeah, so it's incredible. So how does it do that? Because if you've dealt with LLMs, and I think most of our viewers have, right? If you've dealt with LLMs at all, you have this great phase, like it's going up, 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 and then the wheels fall off, right? And it doesn't remember what it said, and it's,
Yeah.
it goes crazy. And the reason for that is because of the context window. And you've heard that term, right? So when the context window gets full in an LLM, and the longer you let a conversation thread go, it's going to crash and burn. And the problem with LLMs is that they don't manage the context window, meaning nothing is saved. There's nothing saved to disk. And so it just crashes, right? It just goes down.
So the BMAD thing, so there's a lot there. I think so. One of the things that appealed to me just out of the gate is it seems like an entire methodology to bridge, again, in my world, right? I'm like, oh, vibe coding, super interesting. And then it falls apart, like you're talking about, in context window and all kinds of other reasons. And then old school or traditional software development, laborious, a lot of process, a lot of documentation, and then, but enterprise grade.
Right.
And so when I looked at BMAD, it seemed to me like a common scaffold where I could, like, bits and pieces of it, I've, the agile process or whatever, I've experienced because I've been working with a development team, and they need from me, we would go BRD into PRD. It's like, okay, PRD is kind of your area, but I would have to advise, and then user stories, give me the user stories. This seems to have what did you call it, software development lifecycle? Like,
yes,
it weaved the whole thing together. Has all these assistants along the way to help guide that. It automatically documents, and I liked this sharding concept of, a context window super long, to oversimplify it, or again, to give it one use case, it cuts that up into these manageable parts and keeps track and organizes them. I don't know, man. It just seems like it's interesting to hear that you, coming from the development side, have jumped in and seen the value, because I was looking at it from a non-technical point of view, going, oh, this is what I've been looking for, a common, middle ground that is AI assisted and AI driven, that makes it easier for me to communicate with, with those resources that'll probably never be me, the developing enterprise grade software or something, completely stable is just, it's completely outside of my wheelhouse. This seemed to give me a middle ground that we could really work well together.
Yeah. So the big thing that agents in general do, but BMAD does extremely well, is that it has a framework that it works in, and it creates files that it saves to your hard drive that are in a very specific format to support the software development process. So a lot of the stuff, like the initial idea, what it's really trying to do is requirements gathering, and you can bring your own documents that you already have into that, and you can you can have ideation sessions. You can even use. Did you get to use the party mode yet?
No, but so that gets into. I could see it beneath the ice, super clear. I just couldn't get to it because again, I was stuck on top of the ice. I didn't have the breakthrough to get there. But so, all of that,
bringing the party mode is great, right?
Yeah,
it'll have like an agent that is trained as a lawyer, and an agent that's trained as a UX and and a dev and a CTO and a networking engineer.
Yeah.
Like it will bring in, like the last thing that I was doing, it brought in like 11 different people or personas, right? That are agents that it's having LLMs, and it's not running its own LLM, right? It's just an agent.
Right.
It's really like a collection of prompts, and the first prompt like manages the whole set of prompts, and you can use them individually or whatever, but it saves those on your hard drive, so you don't run out of context window, because it gets to a certain point, it records that, it formalizes the learnings and it formalizes the output of that step, and then it takes you to the next step. And it can go backwards and like if you run into a problem at step 9 and you're like, oh, like I'm writing code, but there's this thing, it doesn't work, that software doesn't exist yet, right?
Right.
Then it'll say, hey, I really want to go back and rewrite this, and it can say, do you want to give me any input on it? Do you want me to rewrite it on my own, etc.? How would you change up this requirement? And then it goes through, and then it propagates everything forward again. So
yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Again, it's super fascinating. So for somebody like me, who is coming at from the non-technical side, and you said something there, I wasn't even sure where to start. I mean, so maybe that's the question. Where for somebody like, give me that the part that was missing from the from the kind of, there was an assumption that Brian made. Again, it was a phenomenal video, but I think there's almost like a preamble to it that I needed, which was and I think I told you, like, do I need Node.js? Am I supposed to
there's
be
a whole
downloading
installation procedure and documentation?
I didn't know where to even start to play with it. Oh, and then you just said something really interesting, which it really kind of shook my foundation of experience with technology in general. I used to only work with my hard drive and a local computer, right? There was no internet or whatever. And now everything's in the cloud, because I'm all Google Workspace. Right. And if it's on my hard drive, it's because I had to download it for some silly reason. It sounds like this is pushing me to install this on your local machine, and it runs there.
Yes. So
okay.
I'm gonna.
So that was the first kind of regression memory that I wasn't even sure. I was like, oh, wait, this is different.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just show like how I how I did this, and I've thrown up. You can probably see this is my Cursor. So I'm using Cursor as the IDE here, but this is my Cursor, internet development environment, and basically, like you can see it's got files, it's got like all these config files and everything. It's got these output files, and these output files are what it generates along the way. So this is what I was saying is like, oh, so I'm just doing like this. I'm having it create something super simple here. It's a youth soccer interest capture form, right? So 1 page web form, and I have no intents of using it. It's just kind of what I came up with. But it's created these markdown files, and you can actually view these in a markdown viewer, so it's more, formatted. But you can see, like, here's the executive summary, and it came up with this just through conversations I had with it. And once we got through this phase, then it started writing this product development or product requirements document. And this is capturing like the information, what's in scope, what's out of scope. It did all this, like it created this document entirely on its own. But this is how it manages that context window, is it goes like back and forth. But the way that you start it is you run this command, which is / command in whatever environment you're using. So / BMAD -agent -BMAD.master, and it launches into this process where it kind of starts you off. And this will walk you through step by step. if you
So
use this
so
process.
that's what I mean. So you said, and I want to go back and make sure I found the one.
Mhm.
Like I think I pinged you on Slack about it. Like you said, start in an environment, and you said Cursor, and I think what was the one that I was asking you about? Was it
Claude
called VS
Code,
Code?
Claude Code.
What is it?
Yeah, Claude Code is what devs use, and it's a very CLI version. Like, are you familiar with? You've probably heard of VS Studio. So
That's the one. That's the one
Studio.
that
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so
So you can use this with
Cursor,
Studio.
Claude Code, and VS Studio are all
Yeah.
something environments. What are they?
They're
Coding environments?
internet development environments. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So you choose one of those, and that's when you put the slash. If so, whatever one you use, you put the slash in. So how do you know which one to choose? How do I like Claude? You know, if I'm new to
whatever
the
you
whole
like.
thing,
Yeah. A VS Studio, or I think it's called VS Studio. Anyway, it's the one by Microsoft. It's called Studio. There's like 100 of these things. It supports out of the box, like it prefers Claude Code. That's what Brian Madsen works in is all day is Claude Code, and I think he mentions that in his video. And then he has then there's Cursor, which is really common, but it has to be an IDE that is designed for use with agents. And again, there are dozens of them.
so let's just circle back on because I'll go with Claude Code because I love Anthropic and Claude and that.
I
And
don't recommend Claude Code for you.
You don't.
No, because it's like it's based in the command line. Like you're going to spend way more time in the terminal than you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Okay,
so but just real quick then,
yeah.
the Claude IDE is different than when I launch Claude on my computer with my app
Mm-hmm.
and I go in there. I'm doing it now. I don't think I can share my screen, but I see there's the chat,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can go to co-work or I can go to code. That's not the same as downloading the IDE Claude Code.
No. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, I'll be honest, like I don't even use Claude Code, so there may be like more of a downloadable version than that. But you're gonna have to, like, my developers, they all use Claude Code and they use it in the CLI. And I haven't adopted it yet because months ago I started on Cursor, and I don't write software every day. So Cursor was a little bit easier for me.
Okay. So for me, who's even like, I mean, so you said, I don't want to be living in the terminal until I get it.
Yeah.
What what did you just say? I just already
Cursor
got
or
is Cursor where you would suggest somebody who's non-technical like me start?
I think it's good. So here are the pain points that a non-technical person who wants to use it, like let's say you're trying to, quote unquote vibe code something. This is not a vibe coding tool. This is a software development tool.
Okay.
So it's a little different. But the pain point you're going to experience is installation. You've got to be comfortable with doing something in terminal. Let's say if you're on a Mac or, the command line, whatever the command line's called on a PC, which I haven't used one in a couple decades, but you're going to have to be, comfortable, typing in some things, and you may not have the prerequisites installed on your computer. And so that's going to be the pain point, is just getting your computer set up so that you can install it.
Yeah.
Once you get past that hump, right, and you get it to install properly, then you're not going to go back to the command line. I don't go back to the command. Like once I'm working in BMAD, I just go into my IDE, which in this case is Claude Code, which like looks like this, right? And is very much like it's a text editor, right? You've got the files off to.
But this is Cursor or Claude Code?
This is Cursor. I don't use Claude Code. Yeah.
No, I know you do. I think you just accidentally said Claude Code.
Did I say the opposite? Okay.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Cursor.
Yeah. So I'm using Cursor. So I would encourage you, use Cursor with this, because to me it's easy. It's like you've got this pane in the middle, so you can view a text document, And then off to the side, you've got the agent, and this is where you talk to it like you would.
Yeah.
You can even say, "Oh, hey, what's the weather like?" Right?
Right.
And,
it's the typical context window that we're used to now.
Yeah. So you're used to dealing with this, and it's like, oh, he doesn't even know where I am, right? So it's not designed for this kind of a task, but it will do this kind of a task. So
okay. Yeah.
So if I'm going to cancel this, but if I hit continue, it'll go out and search the web and tell me what the weather's like. So it's like this familiar interface to you, and it walks you through, and it says, hey, if you don't know like what command you want to run next, like let's go to the next, and here's my recommendations. So it orchestrates the entire
no, it's super, again, man. I mean, this part of it is very powerful. It's intuitive. It's clear. It's both focused and it kind of guides you and allows you to break off into any, there's like 20 different brainstorming models you can choose from. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get to, and now you've scared me a little bit, but I think I'm sure I can go to just Claude Chat or Chat GPT and ask for the prerequisites.
It will walk you through it. Yeah.
It's like, I want to download Cursor as an IDE.
I would.
And there will be some prerequisites that I have to make sure my computer has so that Cursor works properly.
That's my advice. Yeah. So, exactly like that. But once you get it installed, you're just going to work in your IDE. You're going to work in Cursor.
I'm all over that. I just can't get the damn thing installed.
Yeah.
Like, do I need that Node.js thing?
Yes, you need to have Node installed on your computer, and but I tell you what, just go to ChatGPT or whatever LLM you use and say, hey, I need some help with it, and it knows how to do it. So it'll walk you through. It'll take you on the command line. It's going to be a little uncomfortable because it's most people haven't been to the command line since DOS, but
that was me. Run, whatever it was. Like that's the last time I was in, and I think it was on a disk. I think I had to access it from a disk or anyway.
Yeah. So
format. Format disk. Wasn't that an MS DOS line?
Yeah. Be careful. But the so it's gonna work like that. But anyway, the other thing. So I just want to make a couple other points, and I know we got to move on, but the couple other points is one, like it's not designed necessarily for an individual to work with it. You can, as an individual, go from the top of the process all the way to writing code, testing it, etc.
Okay.
So in that case, it's little bit like a vibe code, but it will ask you to make some decisions along the way that you're not going to feel real comfortable making. But you can just tell it, hey, do what you think is best. You can even type in YOLO mode, and it'll just like go with whatever it thinks best.
I like that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so it can be a way to do that. So first of all, but it does write code that is good, that can actually be edited. You can hand off to a developer later. But
okay, gotcha.
But it's really more like, hey, you're gonna do the top part until you get uncomfortable, and you're like, I need a developer for this. And then, it's all files on your disk. So you could zip it all up and send it to your dev, or even better, you can connect that folder to GitHub. Again, if you don't know how to do that, ask ChatGPT. Connect that folder to GitHub, upload that folder, and then give whoever else on your team needs access to that folder. And that's what's really powerful about it, because now I can have a whole team working on it.
I love it, and I'm super excited. Again, this is that middle ground I've been looking for. So let me ask you this, and maybe it's just an outlier question, but how or does this relate to spec-driven development? Have you come across that?
Sure. Yeah, it helps you write the specifications, right?
Okay.
And it will intake any spec doc you have. It loves specs. It loves spec docs.
Okay.
So when I'm initially installing it, I just need to upload whatever documents I have into that folder. And you can even tell it, hey, I have this doc on Google Docs, copy it down. I have this doc, and it will do like the typical LLM stuff. and it will go out and grab your document, or or whatever.
Be damn well.
Yeah, be damn well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can connect it to your Google Drive and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the core files that you're working on are managed on your hard drive.
Yeah,
your
they're
local.
managed on your hard drive, and it does what, or you can do what developers call committing your files. So
Okay.
you create a repo with, a code repository,
Right.
and that's going to be what you share with GitHub
Into that repo on GitHub.
And so as it creates all these specification documents, it's going to send them up to the repo. So I'll tell you another real advantage of working in this, even if you're, it's just your team, or it's just you and a developer or whatever working on it. I'm way less dependent on any sort of developer knowledge or tribal knowledge of the process, because it documents everything that's happened, every piece of code, every requirement, etc. So the time to get a new developer up, to speed, is almost nothing, because the documentation is so complete. And that's one of the biggest hurdles in software development, is getting teams to effectively hand stuff off and getting developers to document stuff.
Document it properly in the first place, and then make sure it's organized so that you can share it and locate it and find it for somebody new. That was very clear in the BMAD thing. It was like, that's what whatever that documentation across the board on the side was fully automated almost. Let me ask one more question on the GitHub thing. Does it so if I'm working on my local file and I get the idea that, to share it or to collaborate, you want that repo on GitHub, but once you've assigned it or linked to it, does it auto reconcile with what's on your drive with what's on GitHub, or does it now? It does.
So auto Syncs. Is that's a big word, automatically, but there's a way to do that. And I'll be honest, I haven't done the upload and download, but the normal process is that when you commit your code, so you're done, you've committed it, these files are now part of my current repo, what you call the master branch of the repo. And that I push those files up to GitHub. Okay. My developer goes off and does something, or maybe somebody else, I have somebody else reviewing whatever documents, and they're working with BMAD, and it updates the document. So now you have updated documents on GitHub, and then you need it down on your local machine. You can fetch and merge or pull those are two different commands in Git. Pull that down. Most of the IDEs will actually do that for you. I don't know, if Cursor automatically will do that when you start again. Probably not. You're probably going to have to recognize that you have to go through that step, so that now you're working with a completely updated set of documents. So it's different than if you were used to working in a SaaS and you're updating, product information or, whatever. Right. That's all happening and being stored in a database on the cloud. And so everybody has real-time access to it. It's not that way. You have to intentionally push code and pull code down when you're working.
And when you put fetch or pull or whatever, it's only doing the committed part, or it's focused on the
it'll do whatever the last update is that was pushed to it, essentially. So I may be working on my machine, and you may not have that on your machine, right? But let's say you're working on it and your developer's working on it at the same time, and he's working on his machine, you're working on it on your machine. That becomes a little dangerous. But if you're working in different parts of the application and you're affecting different files, it's not difficult. And if you're working with a developer, he can merge the changes together, and that's a very common thing that's done in Git. But if you're just doing it like me, I'm doing this solo side project on it right now, I don't need to share it with anybody. It saves everything, and the big advantage of it saving everything is that I'm no longer dependent on the context window.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
I'm super interested. This has been a great intro, and you've answered a lot of my questions. I'm excited. Maybe one day we'll be working in BMAD together. That would be amazing.
I think it goes without saying we will. Yeah.
You just got to grab one of those big ideas, one of those many big ideas we've had, and get
Go
get it
for it,
started.
man. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Well, this is going to change things. It's going to take a little while for developers and business people and project managers, product managers to work this in to
Yeah.
what they do, their day to day. But I really feel like for the first time, I'm kind of seeing where this all pays off, and we'll have to do another session on stage 3 and stage 4 of AI usage. But most
Okay.
people are somewhere between stage 2 and 3. And,
Okay.
one of the things I think we've recognized is that we probably have a lot of work to do with folks that want to move from stage 3 to stage 4, because stage 4 is where the competitive advantage is right now. So,
Right.
if somebody wants to know more about that, they can contact me. The contact information, is in the video, or, but just, let me know, if you'd like for us to, talk about your organization and, and see how we could help with it.
Sounds good, Paul. Thanks so much, man. Good stuff.
Great, Chris. Appreciate it. You have a good one.